WECT investigates tonight the price a neighborhood paid after a blast sent shockwaves through their community. 1 year ago this week, an explosion left Suncrest Way in Leland looking like this. Well, WECT's Connor Smith has done a deep dive into that explosion. His series of reports will run every night this week. Connor, this impacted the entire Magnolia Greens community, not just those few houses.
Yeah, that's right, John. We put a map together that really paints the pictures. All of these blue labels show different units in the neighborhood that felt the impact. There were 6 units around the blast site down here that were hit the hardest. That includes 2 units that had to be completely demolished. Amazingly, no one was seriously hurt after the explosion, but public records do show just how costly that night was. 4 units were damaged badly, and permit records showed 2 were torn down last year. That includes the home where investigators say the explosion started. Demolishing that unit cost $50,000, and rebuild efforts still continuing today. The 2 homes on each side of that home also under construction. Martin Schmidt lives right down the street. He says his neighborhood is still feeling the impact from the night of the blast.
All we said was, wow, they had a fence up surrounding it, in front and the back. So we're thinking, I'm thinking that in 3 to 6 months it'll be completely done, but nope.
And you can look through that interactive map yourself right now inside your WECT News app. We are spending this entire week investigating this explosion, and still ahead we'll share what we've learned about the cause and why experts tell me this is an unusual case. Connor Smith, WECT News.
WECT investigates tonight an explosion that blew up townhomes in Leland 1 year ago this week, rocking a community, leaving many neighbors without a place to stay. Now, the cause of the blast is still officially listed as undetermined. WECT's Connor Smith continuing his special reports into the explosion. Now, Connor, you talked with some experts about the case. What do they think happened?
Well, John, they didn't want to speculate on the exact cause here, but they did say the investigative report details one possible lead that could be worth re-examining. Leland Fire Department's official investigative report says they're confident the blast started in the trunk of a parked car. Investigators told us last year they believe this was a vapor explosion. We talked with 3 experts who have spent decades investigating explosions. Former firefighter and hazmat inspector Wendy Buckley says the report indicates a propane tank in the trunk could have leaked. A hot surface or small electric spark could have then ignited this explosion.
I'm disappointed that they closed the case without really any information, because one of the problems when you have incidents like this is if you don't know how it started, you can't prevent it from happening again.
Nobody involved with this investigation will answer our questions about the explosion. We'll walk through everything investigators did find and what else they might have missed in our full investigative report that airs Thursday night at 6. Connor Smith, WECT News.
Our investigative series continues tonight. How a powerful explosion shook a Leland neighborhood, and now, nearly 1 year later, homeowners are still searching for answers. WECT's Connor Smith joining us with tonight's special report. Now, Connor, neighbors say they still have questions about what happened the night of the explosion.
Yeah, that's right, John. This week marks 1 year since that explosion. Officially, the cause of the blast is listed as undetermined. Neighbors I talked to say they wish investigators had given them more answers. The Leland Fire Department closed its investigation less than 2 months after the explosion. The town told us this was a vapor explosion, but they weren't sure what exactly exploded or what ignited it. 3 homes are still under construction today, with some neighbors unable to move back in. Martin Schmidt lives on Suncrest Way, where the explosion happened. He says over the last year, neighbors have never gotten a true answer on what happened, leaving him wondering if something like this could happen again.
No one really told us anything. Not the fire commissioner, not the police department, no one. Give us a straight answer, tell us what happened.
Now, late this afternoon, we learned Leland's town manager will address this investigation tomorrow morning for the first time since it was closed back in July. You can hear his response tomorrow night at 6. John?
All right, Connor. Now, we reported last night that the town had not answered our questions about the explosion. We do want to clarify that tonight, right?
Yeah, that's right, John. We have been in active discussions with Leland officials this week about getting answers to the questions we have about this explosion. And the town did just send us a statement that reads in part, quote, "While we understand some community members continue to have questions regarding the incident, the town remains confident the investigation was handled seriously, professionally, and based on the information and evidence available." You can read that full statement right now inside your WECT News app. Now, last night at 6, I said that nobody involved with this investigation would answer our questions about the explosion. What we should have said is that at that time, we did have an open standing invitation sent multiple times to the town of Leland to comment or answer our questions about the explosion. The town's communication department contacted us last night via text message after that report aired at 6, saying they were upset that they didn't get a chance to comment before that report aired. Tonight, I can tell you that after weeks of communication with the town, including 2 phone calls earlier today, town officials did send us that statement that we just referenced and also agreed to that interview tomorrow morning. And John, again, we will have the town manager's response airing tomorrow night at 6.
All right, look forward to that, Connor, and to the rest of your reporting this week. Thanks. Our WECT Investigates series continuing tonight on the explosion that happened nearly 1 year ago. It rocked a Leland neighborhood, destroyed homes, and put an entire community on edge. Tonight, our investigative team exposes some new evidence and raises questions about what really happened that night and how the investigation afterwards was handled. WECT's Connor Smith has spent months looking into this incident. Now, Connor, investigators never determined exactly what caused the explosion. And what you've done, was anything missed, or did they look over anything?
Well, John, the Leland Fire Department closed their investigation after less than 2 months. So tonight we're showing you how public records and expert analysis reveal a rushed investigation, unsecured evidence, and a neighborhood still waiting for answers. Suncrest Way is still trying to rebuild 1 full year after a blast that changed everything.
It was like a bomb going off and everything shook.
I said 1 or 2 things before I walked out. I said an earthquake or a plane hit us.
An explosion in Leland's Magnolia Greens neighborhood left Suncrest Way looking like this. Debris covering the street, first responders looking for answers, neighbors in shock.
I just didn't expect what I saw. The whole neighborhood was just like a tornado had gone through it.
Over 15 different agencies responded, including the ATF and State Bureau of Investigation. Officially, none of them figured out what happened that night.
It could have been handled a lot better than it was.
Donna D'Angelo lives 3 doors down from where investigators say the blast happened.
Well, it was very scary because they didn't know what happened, and I said, what is going on?
D'Angelo says she's thought about selling her home just to get away from the trauma. Any reminder for her and her pets triggers thoughts of May 16th, 2025.
Now, every time we hear a noise, I could see they're on alert, I'm on alert. So that's just like a PTSD reaction.
D'Angelo says she had roughly $25,000 in damages to clean up.
That mirror was all over the floor.
These pictures taken by investigators after the blast show the devastation. Roofs collapsed, living rooms decimated, homes destroyed.
There was just debris everywhere, all over the place.
And public records show D'Angelo was one of the lucky ones. There's 6 townhouse units in the building where the explosion happened. D'Angelo's unit here at the end only suffered minor damage, but 4 townhomes suffered major damage, including 1309 and 1307, which had to be completely demolished. Investigators say 24 other homes around the neighborhood were also dealt some damage.
It was like a plane crashing into our roof.
Martin Schmidt says the explosion was so massive, glass and ceramic tiles fell inside his house all the way at the end of the street. He says his neighborhood deserves answers.
No one really told us anything. Not the fire commissioner, not the police department, no one.
2 months after the explosion in July, the town of Leland told us vapor ignited the blast. But the Leland Fire Department closed its investigation less than 2 months after opening it without determining an official cause. Leland police also closed their criminal investigation in July. Nobody was charged. So 12 months after the explosion, we still don't know where the vapor came from or what sparked it.
And they never gave us a true answer. Give us a straight answer, tell us what happened.
We reached out to investigators. This is Connor Smith with WECT News. Ronnie Hayes retired as Leland's fire chief in December. He declined an on-camera interview. The neighborhood HOA group declined to comment, and so did the private investigator the HOA's insurance company hired. After initially declining to comment on the investigation, Leland's town manager David Hollis agreed to sit down with us.
We would love to know more ourselves. I mean, everybody wants to know the exact cause of what happened here. Unfortunately, the evidence has not shown us what that is, and we don't want to speculate on that.
We wanted answers, so we dug through all the public records related to the blast and talked with 3 outside experts, each with decades of experience investigating explosions.
I'm disappointed that they closed the case without really any information, because one of the problems when you have incidents like this is if you don't know how it started, you can't prevent it from happening again.
Wendy Buckley is a former firefighter and hazmat expert. She noted investigators ruled out some of the more likely causes, like gas or drug manufacturing, but wishes the investigation had stayed open.
In my experience, this should have been left open a lot longer.
Hollis says the town closed its investigation because they ran out of leads. But Leland Fire's official report shows investigators focusing on a car in the garage of 1309 Suncrest Way. The report says investigators were, quote, positive the blast originated from the trunk of the car. That's because the back of the car's seats were burned. Experts say that makes this a unique case.
I've never seen an accidental fire with vapors from a vehicle, in the trunk of the vehicle.
Experts Sandy Kromanacher and Roland Barrett say there was probably something in the trunk of the car that shouldn't have been there, possibly a propane tank that leaked. All it would have needed is a hot surface or small electric spark to ignite.
Then I would look at maybe something they hauled right before. If it comes down to it, it's probably going to be found related to the propane.
They were all intact, they weren't leaking, they had propane in them. So the idea that the propane tanks in the garage caused it was ruled out.
Investigators interviewed the homeowners of 1309 at least 3 times. The investigation report says the homeowner reported being gone for a few days and smelling sewage when he got home.
That's a sign that it's leaking. It's out and able to cause a fire explosion.
A month after the explosion, investigators found 2 20-pound propane cylinders in the garage. They found small amounts of propane in each one and did not note any leaks. The private investigator Safe Labs sampled the trunk and did not find anything flammable. But according to the report, Leland officials never sampled the trunk on their own, instead letting a private company handle the critical evidence.
The insurance company taking and processing samples before the investigators had even taken samples was something that I found very alarming.
Did the town ever sample the evidence on their own from the trunk of the car?
I'm not sure. I'd have to ask our investigators if that happened.
The report indicates they didn't. So do you think it was appropriate for the private company to handle the critical evidence in a case like this?
Again, I think it's a partnership there that was occurring.
That was just one of the concerns experts had with the investigation. The investigation report says Leland officials did not officially secure the scene with a fence until 2:30 Saturday afternoon, 19 hours after the explosion. It's unclear who accessed the scene during those 19 hours. The town of Leland would not hand over crime scene logs.
But they didn't have the scene control they should have, and the scene may have been contaminated. Evidence may have walked off.
Hollis says Leland police secured the scene the night of the explosion, and nothing shows evidence disappeared from the scene.
The police were there all night monitoring that, not letting people wander around the scene.
The investigation report also says the night of the explosion, Leland officials transferred control of the scene to the Wilmington Police Department.
That's probably a mistake in that report. Sergeant Irving is with Leland PD.
Do you think there's anything else wrong with this report?
I didn't see that on there, but I think the report is accurate.
Buckley says there are important questions to ask. Investigators need to collect enough evidence to determine a cause, and in this case, they didn't. Initially, the town of Leland told us the evidence revealing the cause was likely destroyed in the blast.
That's the fallacy. Nothing is completely destroyed. It's there, it changes.
But the pieces were never connected, the cause still undetermined, and 1 year later, Suncrest Way is still a construction zone.
My whole life for a year was basically on hold.
Donna D'Angelo and her neighbors have spent the last year cleaning up the mess. The town has issued multiple renovation and rebuild permits. Demolishing the unit at the center of the explosion cost $50,000. The homeowners there didn't respond for this story. 2 other units are still under construction.
I hope that everybody that lives here now would be very careful on what they store in their car or in the garage.
And yet, 12 months later, with the signs of that costly night still easy to see, this street is still abuzz with questions. The town of Leland also sent us a statement for this story, saying they're confident this investigation was handled seriously, professionally, and based on the evidence available. You can read that full statement right now inside your WECT News app. John?
Well, Connor, you've heard from a lot of neighbors in the past year that they feel like the town didn't communicate enough with them after the explosion. Right. I know you had to ask the town manager that.
Yeah, and he says they communicated appropriately with the neighbors who were impacted by this event. He says they passed along updates as they had them, and they haven't had any updates on this investigation, again, since it was closed in July.
All right, Connor, a lot of hard work you've done. Thanks for that story tonight. Thanks for the week of stories looking back.